Am I to blame for all the bad things, all that has happened in my life? Well, to put it shortly, you do have a certain amount of responsibilities for your own actions, right? But what about the things that carry over from your genes that are hereditary, that come from your parents that you really didn't have much control from the start? There's many things like health stuff, maybe intelligence, athletic ability, physical attributes that you wish you had. And a lot of it stems from just the way that you are born, the way that your parents are, with their features and everything and their genetic design, how they came to be. And a lot of that, you just really can't control, right? And for those type of things, who do you put the blame on? I mean, if there's features that you don't like and a lot of it is hereditary, then do you put the blame on your parents? I mean, you can, and you could build up some type of resentment or bitterness towards that, but is that really the route you want to go? Uh, Do you want to just look at the negatives and say, man, like, this is the cards that I've been dealt with, and it's not even something I can control. Like, what do I do about it? I mean, sure, you could just accept it. I would suggest just accepting it and just being at peace with what's been given to you and just make the most of it. But maybe coming to terms with that and getting to that place of acceptance is a challenging route to take, and maybe it has to take some time for you to reach that place of peace with that acceptance. So, listen, you do have maybe there's some physical ailments, for example, that you like physical conditions that you can't control. It was just the way it is, and maybe it was because the way your parents had to deal with that, or even just your lineage, your generations that have dealt with this specific uh, physical ailment or condition that you have. So are you just gonna sit there and blame it on the people that lived before you, your bloodline, of why this is the way you are? Or are there things that you could do right now to make it easier for you to deal with those conditions? Because depending on what it is, maybe you can deal with it. Maybe there's a lifestyle change that you can, and you could have a certain amount of responsibility to take it upon yourself that, hey, I have this condition. Maybe there's something that I could do about it, that I could take ownership of this and live a better life than maybe my parents or my grandparents that have dealt with this. So having that knowledge, maybe it's also a blessing because, hey, maybe in this life that I have with these conditions, I could make some adjustments in my life. I could take responsibility of my lifestyle and live in a healthier way that could help deal or even heal the physical condition. So things like that. Or it doesn't even have to just be concerning just physical health, but also your surroundings, your your uh, social setting, social economical setting, the way that you're brought up. Maybe you're not your social status. You're not in a place where you're that well off financially. You're at a place where you don't have much things going for your life. Don't have much opportunity, but you don't really have the outlook. You don't really have a perspective of like seeing the resources and the opportunities that you're at. So you just kind of make decisions based off your limited opportunities that you have or the limited resources. So, and then maybe you get caught up in the wrong crowd. Maybe you get caught up doing things that uh, make it even more difficult for you to live this life. And so, are you to blame for that? I mean, maybe not entirely, but at the same time, the actions that you do has its own consequences and something that you yourself have to take responsibility for, regardless of maybe the disposition or the deficit that you're in. So, at one hand, yeah, I mean, of course, you could put a lot of blame on the parents or the descendants before you to put you in this deficit, right? Or maybe there's just a lot of things in life in this world that you can't control that just led to a series of unfortunate events. But at the end of the day, given that, given the place that you're in, it's you got to ask yourself like what are you going to do about it? Like what's the amount of responsibility do I take upon myself to do what I have to do next to make this next decision that could affect possibly the rest of my life. So those are things that you just ask yourself on like every decision, every habit that you pick up in life along the way. Of course, there are things that put you in the position that you can't control, but there's a certain amount of ownership that you should take and know that you can make an influence on your life where you could change the trajectory of the direction that you're headed in life. And obviously, there's a lot of things in play where your values, your beliefs, principles that come into play that dictate what direction you want to go in life. And so I don't want to go too much into that, but just in general, uh, you do have a responsibility. Uh, you do have over ownership of yourself. So when you do make mistakes, yeah, it might have an influence that is out of your control, but at the same time, uh, the choices that you make, it it does ride upon uh, yourself and your own responsibility. So just go out there, be responsible, take ownership of your own life, despite what resources that you have, and you might even have a lot of resources and be blessed with a lot of opportunities. So don't squander it if you're in that position. But if you are in a deficit, try to make the most of the opportunities that you do have and know that you can change the direction of the trajectory that maybe the generations before you set. So you could always change that for yourself. And you don't have to go through this uh maybe this line that was supposedly uh destined for you or that you're supposed to go based on statistics or analysis. But things can change and you can own up to the things that you do. So take advantage of that, of the power of your own influence and your own responsibility because you yourself can make a change if you just take it upon it and work towards the things that you want to go for.